Hello and welcome to Lorbek Luxury Cars. I'm Harry and I've got the great pleasure to present to you this 1994 Honda NSX. Specifically built by Honda to show the supercar world that an exotic, high-performance supercar didn't need to be a bone-crushing headache. So what do I mean by that? Well, jump in and I'll show you exactly what. Not like that. For over 51 years, the supercar world was dominated by Ferrari. And for all of those in the know, Ferrari before the NSX was Italian for smoking mess. For decades, anyone who was looking to buy a supercar accepted the fact they had to own another car to get around in, because it was more likely than not that they would not arrive at their final destination. Most likely, they would find themselves on the side of the road combusting in the high-octane petrol they'd just put in their car. But then came along Honda, who asked the question, why should a supercar be a nightmare to own when they can build a car which will do 1,000,000 kilometres virtually trouble-free? So they got together a crack team of experts, a Formula One driver, and went through their inventory of parts to make a car that was not just great to look at, but also better and more engaging than a Ferrari to drive. But the way they did it was a little unconventional. You see, the underpinnings of the Honda NSX are not exactly glamorous. So let me pull over and show you why. Now, if you come around the back here with me, or the middle if you want to get really narky, you'll find under here a 3-litre V6, which was essentially a modified version of the engine out of this, the Honda Legend, which was legendary for not being legendary at all. But what it did have was reliability and durability, which was something that couldn't be said of Ferraris at the time. And then they went to this bloke called Ayrton Senna, who was a race car driver, and they got him to help develop the chassis so that this car would be as legendary in the handling as the Honda Legend wasn't. The result was double wishbone suspension, titanium disc and special control arms, and a liberal use of aluminium to make sure that this car handled in a way a Ferrari could only dream of. Then we take a step back and we have a look at the design, and you'll notice that it's a little bit fighter jet inspired. This is in fact no coincidence at all. The designers took inspiration for the F-16 fighter jet, which was famous for having a 360-degree field of vision. But as you can see, the realities of everyday motoring do get in the way of making 360 visibility an actual reality. Though, having said that, it's pretty impressive for a car like this. I've told you and we've all heard about how revolutionary the NSX is in automotive history. But in today's world where everything is high performance and reliable, it is hard to see what all the fuss is about when you're driving it. But I guess that's exactly the point. You see, if I was in a similar vintage Ferrari, I'd have pulled my shoulder trying to change gear. I'd be sweating hot, so sick of life, pulled over on the side of the road in a cloud of my own steam. But in this, I feel like I'm just in a very nicely appointed Honda. And I guess the bigger point is that it actually feels like any other high-performance car today. It's comfortable, it's quiet, the air conditioning works very nicely, the radio's good. I've got good headroom, legroom, I've actually got a place to put my left foot. But the difference is that this car is actually 25 years old. And it's only at that point do you realise how far ahead of its time this car really was. I mean, it feels totally modern today. Extraordinary. Back when this Honda was built, the internet was only used in universities. The mobile phone was too big to fit in a car boot. eBay didn't exist. VHS was the way we watched recorded television. There was no widescreen TV, and the iPod was still 7 years away. Few people realised how much of a revolution the NSX was. Because of this car, our perception of what a car is and how it should be has totally changed. Because of the NSX, we now have 7-year warranties on just about any car, free servicing, and you never really ever talk about going out at the start of the day not being able to start your car. The worst we ever really have these days is a flat battery. History is littered with what we perceive to be great cars, but the reality is that cars weren't great until this came along and made sure that cars were not only awesome to look at and great to drive, but a joy to live with and to own. So come down to Lorbek Luxury Cars today and buy this incredible and rapidly appreciating motoring icon. We'll see you next week.